the Watergate building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now here are Hotline editors Amy Walter and John Mercurio.
Happy Friday and welcome to Hotline TV. I'm Conn Carroll.
And I'm John Mercurio. Earlier this week, Barack Obama skipped out on AARP's Presidential Candidates Forum in Iowa. One of Obama's main talking points is his attacking of special interests, and he recently announced that he'll no longer participate in any further debates or forums put on by anyone other than the DNC. All right, Conn Carroll, how do you think this will help or hurt Obama's current standing in the primary polls?
Well, it's still too early to tell, John, but there are costs and benefits here. We'll go through both of them.
Let's go through both. Start with the costs.
Costs. Well, I think the major costs is that the Democratic Party is made up of special interest groups, whether it's labor, trial lawyers, or in this case, seniors. Mm-hmm. There are definite definable groups within the Democratic Party that participate and drive participation voters to the polls that might be a little bit offended if Obama skips them, like the AARP.
Sure.
I was particularly drawn to a post by Garantz Garuda at the American Prospect, talking about how when she was in Iowa, at all the events she stopped at, there were groups of senior citizens in shirts, and she really saw the AARP as kind of a social club for them, and how they identified themselves. And for Obama to skip that debate, skip that, and basically tell that group, you're not important,
right,
that could end up hurting him in a state like Iowa.
And you know, you're right. I mean, the Democratic Party is made up of special interests. The Republican Party is not. It's easier, I think, in a primary campaign for a Republican candidate to attack the quote-unquote special interests. When Democrats do it, they're sort of, you know, looking beyond the party, almost in a way looking as though Obama is almost looking like he's running a general election campaign, as opposed to sort of what he really needs to be doing, which is talking to these groups. But you're seeing today he's in Iowa. He's not necessarily talking to AARP, but he is talking to seniors.
He's in Iowa talking to seniors,
sort
right.
of, you know, what some might call pandering.
There we use the word.
He runs an ad today, interestingly enough, which sort of highlights his mother who died of ovarian cancer, sort of focusing on the healthcare issue for elderly people. So sort of difficult, I think, to see how he gets out of that.
But the benefits would be that, you know, he is hitting on another aspect that the public does like, which is anti-special interests. They feel, a lot of them, that the message in Washington must change, and that is a big part of his campaign. We'll just have yet to see whether or not he can get by without tipping everyone's Erogenous Jones at the same time.
But you know, the problem, the bigger story, I think, is this whole strategy, which I still find very curious, which is him skipping these major debates. And by major, I just mean, you know, anytime you get 5 or 6 presidential candidates from one party on the same stage, I think it's important for someone in the front-runner position like Obama to be there. The strategy, of course, in some ways makes sense. Hillary Clinton has done extremely well in these debates so far, consistently well, and a lot of people credit those performances with her sort of increasingly steady lead over Obama. So if he can sort of take himself off the stage, he sort of deflates that whole momentum that she has. But people are still watching these debates, and they're still watching Hillary Clinton. I think they start to wonder at some point where Obama is.
Well, it's not just the debates. If you look at this past week with the Move On ad, Hillary showed up and voted against the Senate resolution to condemn it. You know, thus supporting the people I read every day, right, the Netroots, etc. Whereas Obama decided not to vote on it, even though he had voted on a substitute amendment by Barbara Boxer hours earlier. Right. He wants to have this image that he's above partisan politics, and you know, some people may buy into that, but at the same time, he loses his ability to show that he's going to fight for democratic interest groups like MoveOn.org when he you know, ducks these debates, ducks these votes that are key to certain groups within the party.
Interesting stuff. Thank you very much, Conn, for dropping by.
No problem.
We will see you next. Oh my goodness gracious! Look who's here.
Are you leaving? Are you running for mayor?
I am.
Yeah.
You're leaving too?
I didn't want to talk about that here right now.
This is your. I don't have an H in my name, John.
I was going to make the announcement before the good people of Las Cruces, New Mexico, but Chuck has got great sources out in New Mexico. We all know that, and
NBC, we report the news.
He scooped us. NBC scooping the news. I am in fact running for mayor of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I hope to take New Mexico, Las Cruces, back to, or whatever the city's called, back to the glory days. And you watch out, Pete Domenici. You're next.
He's going to win.